Welcome to this tutorial on Your DEQ Online Greenhouse Gas Reporting for sources that maintain air contaminant discharge and Title V air permits in the state of Oregon. The Your DEQ Online system is an environmental data management system designed to combine current processes across DEQ's air, land, and water divisions in one convenient and easily accessible portal. The system enables users to submit applications, upload reports, enter data, check the status of applications, pay fees or fines, and manage account activity. In addition, the system will allow for greater public access to environmental data without the need to request this information from DEQ staff. The Greenhouse Gas Reporting Program has moved most of DEQ's required reporting to the YDO system, beginning with reporting for the natural gas and electricity supplier sectors in 2021. Reporting from permitted sources and natural gas systems reporting is being implemented with the reporting of 2023 data to be submitted in 2024. In this tutorial, we will review how to complete a greenhouse gas permitted facilities annual report, and we will point to resources that will help you navigate the YDO system. Before following this tutorial, you will need to complete the registration process for a Your DEQ Online account. Information on how to complete that process can be found at the link in the video description box. It is important to note that reporting capabilities will not be available in your account until the correct facility is linked during the registration process. To find your correct facility, please refer to the FIS reference guide, also linked in the description box, or reach out to the YDO Helpdesk if you are not able to find your facility on the list. When logging into Your DEQ Online, your initial landing page will be your dashboard. The dashboard shows a summary of current and pending activity associated with your linked facilities. There are 3 panels on the dashboard, including Insights, Information or Info, and Submittal panels. The Insights section is a navigation pane, which is the primary way to navigate through various features in the system. The navigation pane can be expanded or collapsed by clicking on the button at the bottom left side of the screen. In the navigation pane, there are 9 tabs, including Dashboard, Start New Submittals, Pending Submittals, Track Submittal Status, Upcoming Obligations, Pay Invoice Fees, Permits, Licenses, Certifications, Public Records, and My Account. The My Submittal section in this example shows that the reporter has a pending GHG reporting obligation intended for the reporting period of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023 that is due on March 31st, 2024. The Info panel provides you access to 2 submittal types, recent correspondence between the agency and some reporters and messages from the agency. The Upcoming Obligations button allows users access to reports that have upcoming due dates and any reports that are past due. It is important to monitor the contents of this tab to ensure all reporting obligations are completed on a timely basis. The Send Back button allows user access to reports that have been sent back to the reporter for revisions or amendments by DEQ. The Correspondence button is not often used for greenhouse gas reporting, as staff will usually communicate with entities via email. System-generated emails will also be sent to you throughout the reporting process. However, you may see messages displayed in this section, as other DEQ programs that work with you may use this function to communicate with users within the system. The Submittals panel will provide information on pending and submitted submittals, including type of reporting obligation, reporting period, reporting due date, and new submittals that may be used by GHG emissions reporters that are subject to third-party verification of annual GHG emissions reports. Details on greenhouse gas emissions reports that you have submitted to DEQ can be viewed on the Submitted Submittals page, accessed by clicking on the Track Submittal Status in the navigation pane on the left side of the screen. From this page, you can use the navigation buttons on the right side of each submission to review the report form, view the submission receipt, and view the submittal detail. The reporting obligations for your facility are determined based on the facility data currently in the Your DEQ Online system. It is important that this information is updated if a change to your organization requires you to begin reporting under a new report type or to discontinue reporting for any reporting obligation. Once DEQ has opened GHG emissions reporting for the current reporting year, the new reporting obligation will appear under the Upcoming Obligations section on your dashboard. To open the new report, click on the Upcoming Obligations tab. Then click the Edit button indicated by the red pencil icon on the report you want to prepare for submission. The GHG Permitted Facilities Annual Report has 7 numbered tabs that will help guide you through the report step by step. They are Basic Information, Additional Questions, Third-Party Verification, Attachments, Payment, Review, and Submission. Note that the Basic Information, Additional Question, and Submission tabs each have data fields that must be filled by all reporters, and the Attachment tab has required data submission fields for reporters who report process type emissions. Any field that is required is indicated with an exclamation mark, required icon, and a red outline. You will also notice that there are 3 panes on the right side of your screen that contain useful information on the submittal type, attachment types, if an attachment is required, and site-specific information. The blue arrow at the top left of the pane allows you to collapse the information panes and expand the report. Begin your report with the Basic Info tab. Verify the facility name, address, and FIS number seen in the facility box. The FIS number is a unique number used to identify facilities in the YDO system. Your FIS number was described and used during the registration and facility association process. Next, complete the 3 required data entry fields indicated. The reporter name is the name of the person completing the report. This can be the responsible official or the consultant for the facility. The source ID is the 6-digit hyphenated source ID number that is associated with the ACDP or TV permit that has been used on previous GHG emissions reports. The emissions data year is the year the emissions were released, not when they are being reported. For example, the first year for GHG permitted sources to report GHG emissions is 2024, when they will be entering data for emissions data year 2023. It is a good idea to save the entered data often throughout the report sections and tabs by clicking on the Save icon at the bottom of your screen. After the source information has been verified and the required data fields have been completed, you can begin entering emissions data by clicking on the Add Emissions Data button. Clicking the button will expand the emissions data field, allowing you to enter GHG emissions data for your stationary combustion emissions units or facility process emissions. You will be asked to select the emissions type you are reporting, either stationary combustion or process emissions. When stationary combustion is selected as the emissions type, the screen will expand and you will need to also select either existing emissions units or create new emissions units. Currently, there are no GHG existing emissions units in the YDO system for facilities that maintain ACDP and TV air quality reports. Users reporting GHG emissions from stationary combustion units will be required to create new GHG stationary combustion emissions units for the YDO system for the first year reports only. The newly created emissions units will be available for use in the following year's reports. To create a new emissions unit, click the Create a New Emissions Unit button to access the General Info section and then enter data in the indicated required data fields. Enter the name the facility uses for that unit in the Emissions Unit Name data field. The unit identifier can be any identifier other than the name that the facility uses to identify that specific piece of equipment. If there is no identifier for that specific piece of equipment, you should fill the data field with a Not Applicable or NA. The unit type has a drop-down list containing GHG emissions unit types as defined by EPA. If the list doesn't have an emissions unit type that closely matches the emissions unit being created, you will select GHG Other as the emissions unit type. The other data entry fields in the emissions unit general info section are optional. After the emissions unit has been created or chosen, save the data by clicking the Save icon at the bottom of the screen. You will next be required to enter data in the 4 required data fields. Use the drop-down arrows to complete each data field. The stationary combustion tier data field contains the 4 greenhouse gas emissions calculation methodologies described in Subpart C General Stationary Fuel Combustion Sources found in the EPA's Code of Federal Regulations 40 CFR 98. The choices are Tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. In this example, we will be using the Tier 1 method. Please refer to the written user guide linked in the description box for more details on the Tier 2 through 4 methodologies. The Tier 1 methodology uses default values to calculate CO2 mass emissions. An emission factor, default high heating value, and estimated fuel quantity are used together to calculate emissions, and your fuel quantity amount is based on company records. When Tier 1 calculation methodology is chosen, you will be required to enter data into the fuel, fuel type, and fuel units data entry fields. The fuel data entry field contains the fuels described in Table C-1 to Subpart C of Part 98 of 40 CFR 98. Fuel type contains the physical state of the fuel being combusted. Your choices are liquid, solid, or gas. The fuel units data field contains the mass or volume units used in the calculation methodologies previously referenced. Your choices are short tons, standard cubic feet, gallons, therms, and MMBTU. Once all these fields are complete, the system will prepare the correct equation and a new field titled Annual Natural Gas Usage from Billing Records Therms will become available under the heading Required Information for the equation C-1A, C-8A. Enter your fuel usage here based on the previously chosen fuel units above. The system will then calculate the emissions and provide you with the emissions calculations. Scroll down the screen to find the summary section and review the data. You will see the emissions data summary, stationary combustion, emissions data summary, process emissions, and the emissions data summary. If you would like to download Excel spreadsheets that contain the data for each summary, click on the Download button below the summary section. This is a good time to save the data that has been entered by clicking the Save icon. If the source has more than one stationary combustion unit, you will be required to scroll back to the top of the emissions data section of the report to complete your additional entry. Click on the green triangle to collapse the first stationary emissions unit data. Once the first stationary emissions unit data section is collapsed, you can once again click on the Add Emissions Data button and add another stationary combustion unit as previously described, or enter process emissions if required. Continue this process until all emission units have been entered. To report GHG process emissions, click on the Add Emissions Data button as previously described, and then click on the Process Emissions option. When process emissions are selected as the emission type, you will be required to select the applicable subpart under 40 CFR 98 from the drop-down menu. Then click on the Add Pollutant button indicated. You can now begin entering GHG emissions from specific pollutants found on the drop-down list. After a pollutant has been selected, a Global Warming Potential or GWP data field will automatically populate, and you can enter the metric tons of that specific pollutant where it says Pollutant Metric Tons. Once the metric tons of that specific pollutant are entered, the system will automatically calculate the metric tons of CO2 equivalent for that mass of the specific pollutant as seen here. To add emissions from additional pollutants, you can collapse the Completed Pollutant Data tab by clicking on the green triangle. Then click on Add Pollutant and repeat the process. The system will automatically calculate the MtCO2e from all pollutants and summarize them as seen here. If reporting emissions under subparts H, cement production, W, petroleum and natural gas systems, and AA, pulp and paper manufacturing, an additional required information section will appear below the Add Pollutant button. To access the additional data fields, click on the New button to expand the section. All data fields in this section are required to be completed. When GHG emissions from all stationary combustion units and processes are entered, the data will be summarized for your review and available to download. Click the Save button at the bottom of the screen to save all the data you've entered before navigating away. Once emissions data is entered and reviewed, you can open the Additional Questions tab. Begin entering the required natural gas supplier, electricity generating unit, cogeneration unit, combusted liquid or gaseous biomass-derived fuel, and significant emissions change information data as applicable to the source and the amount of MtCO2e reported. Enter each required question using the drop-down arrows. If Yes is selected for any question, the section will expand to allow you to access data entry fields. Use the green arrow on the top of your entry pane anytime you need to collapse your data entry section and add additional data to the questions. Click the Save button at the bottom of your screen to save the data you entered at any time. Greenhouse gas emissions reports with human-caused emissions equal to or greater than 25,000 metric tons of CO2 equivalent must engage the services of an approved third-party verification body for verification of the entire emissions data report. For more information about this requirement or the third-party verification program, visit the DEQ program website linked or email the program administrator directly at 3pverify@deq.oregon.gov. There is only one field to interact with in the Third-Party Verification tab. If you believe the third-party verification requirement determination by the YDO system is inaccurate, check the box stating, "This emissions report does not require third-party verification," as per the applicability rules in OAR 340-272. This will trigger an agency review of the requirement determination. The most important data on this tab for facilities that have third-party verification requirements is the security code listed at the bottom of the pane. As the third-party verification proceeds, the third-party verification body will be asked to enter the security code when they submit the conflict of interest form. This code may not be accessible by the verification body in the YDO system, and you may be required to provide it to the verification body directly. Be sure to record the security code for future use. If you have questions regarding the security code or have lost it, please contact the third-party verification program directly by email. Not all reports have required attachments. However, as per OAR 340-215-01053, users are required to provide supplemental documentation, including data inputs for equations to describe how emissions are calculated when not calculated by the YDO system. These calculations are typically process emissions calculations. Data inputs include, but are not limited to, fuel throughput, emissions factors, and production volumes or product usage used to calculate emissions. To upload attachments to the system, you will either click the Upload button on the Attachment tab or drag and drop the file to the same tab. Next, click on the Document Type drop-down to identify your attachment type. You will see 3 document type options to select from. If the attachment to the report is for the emissions calculation details, you should select the tab labeled Required Emissions Data Inputs and Calculations for Process Emissions. Once all attachments have been uploaded to the system, click the Save icon and proceed to the Payment tab. There are no data entry fields in the Payment tab for you to fill in. GHG emissions reporting fees for permitted sources are included in the source's annual ACDP or TV reporting fees. This tab is not currently being used to make payments for GHG reporting fees. Proceed to the next tab labeled Review. This tab has 3 sections: Submittal Form Summary, Fees or Payments, and Mandatory Attachments. The Submittal Form Summary section contains a link to a PDF of the GHG Permitted Facilities Annual Report Emissions Data Summary. This document contains a summary of the emissions units, stationary combustion emissions, and process emissions data you entered on the Basic tab of the report. You should review the GHG Permitted Facilities Annual Report Emissions Data Summary for accuracy and completeness by clicking on the PDF icon. The Mandatory Attachment section provides a list of documents uploaded to the corresponding tab. Please review them to ensure they are complete and accurate. After a full review, save the report by clicking on the Save icon and proceed to the Submissions tab. The Submission tab includes 4 sections: Certification Statement, Security Question, PIN Number, and Security Precautions Disclaimer. It also includes the Submit button. After you've completed a thorough review of all the data that was entered in the report, the final step is to submit it. Before you click Submit, you should read the certification statement, then check the box stating, "I have read and agreed to the above certification statement." Enter the answers to the security question and your personal identification number that you set up during the account registration process. Next, read the security precautions and disclaimer. Click Save to save all your entered data, then click Submit to submit the completed and reviewed report. After the report has been submitted, your screen will refresh with a Submission Successful message, and you will see a detailed description of the submittal. You should review all the sections and make note of the submittal ID. The submittal ID number is a unique number that allows you to track the submittal status as it goes through the review process, and is the reference number used when discussing the report with DEQ staff or third-party verification bodies if the report has third-party verification requirements. You can download a copy of the submittal receipt by clicking on the Receipt button, and a copy of the final GHG Permitted Facilities Annual Report Emissions Data Summary by clicking on the Submittal Form button. Complete the report submittal process by clicking the Finish button. You can track your report status on your dashboard. Upon completion, your status should change to Complete Submittal. Shortly after the report is submitted, DEQ staff will review the report for completeness and accuracy. If the report is complete and accurate, the status will change to Approved. If it is determined that the report is incomplete or inaccurate, DEQ will send you an email describing the error, the required amendment, and the submission will be sent back to you to be completed or corrected. The returned submission will appear on your dashboard and can be accessed by clicking on the Send Back button or by clicking on the Pending Submittals button in your Insight section of your dashboard. Additional training resources are available on the YDO Submittals help page linked in the video description box. Click on the Greenhouse Gas Reporting and Third-Party Verification tab to see all the available resources related to this program. Thank you for watching this tutorial on greenhouse gas reporting in Your DEQ Online. If you have questions or need technical assistance, please reach out to the Your DEQ Online Helpdesk.